Hey Savvy social workers, let's get into today's questions of the day. A school social worker is seeing a mother who is concerned about her 12-year-old son who is diagnosed with ADHD and has a lot of behavioral issues at home and school. The mother states that the boy's stepfather, her husband, seems to be growing increasingly frustrated with her son's behavior and oftentimes rejects him. She tells the social worker that she fears that her husband wants her son out of the house. What should the social worker do first? Okay, it says that you're seeing a mother, so that doesn't really tell us where we are in the process, so we're just going to go on to the next step, because that means it's not going to be as relevant to the answer that we need to pick. So our presenting problem is we have a mother who is concerned about all of this. This is going to be our initial situation, what brought the client in, why they are there, and that's because she's concerned about her 12-year-old son who has a lot of behavior issues. Okay, so she goes on to say that her husband seems to be growing increasingly frustrated and all of that, and then she tells the social worker that she fears that her husband wants her son out the house. So which one of these would be the priority issue? Okay, or would it be both of these? You're looking for the most important thing that you need to address in this moment. Okay, so we're looking at pretty much all of this because it is in reference to the husband's feelings and behaviors towards the son. Okay, so that's what we are wanting to focus on. So the question is asking us, what is going to be the most important thing that we need to do about this mother's concern about her husband's behavior towards her son and her fear of him wanting him out the house? Would the most important thing be to suggest family therapy? This could be a plausible answer since this seems to be a family issue. So we're going to pause that. Recommend individual therapy for the son. Is recommending individual therapy for the son going to address her feelings about the husband? Probably not. So we want to stick with the issue at hand. Remember that we are trying to address the priority issue, the priority concern, which is the mother's fears about her husband's feelings towards her son. So requesting individual therapy for him will not be the most important thing. Okay, the child is at risk of abuse or neglect, so a report to child protection must be filed. Where there's nothing in here that really says that he's at risk for abuse or neglect, so we can eliminate that. Even though it says that he's growing increasingly frustrated, that's still not enough for us to assume that he is going to abuse him or neglect him. He can be frustrated with him and not do those things. So we're going to eliminate that. That's not going to be the most important thing. Now, will we recommend individual therapy for the husband? Is that going to be the most important thing we need to do in this moment? Is that going to address the mother's fears about her feelings towards her son's behaviors? It is absolutely not. Keep in mind, this is a recommendation, so that doesn't necessarily mean he will want to do it, and so therefore the problem will not be solved and we won't be helping the parent. So in this case, the boy's behavior has created stress within the family and the stepfather is reacting to it strongly. The family needs an opportunity to share their feelings with each other and for each member to safely discuss their concerns. Individual therapy will most likely not improve the family as a whole. Okay, so therefore we want to go with what's going to improve the family, which will be answer A. We want to suggest family therapy to the wife for them to come together as a family. There is no evidence that the child is at risk for abuse or neglect because the stepfather is frustrated with his behavior. Again, that doesn't mean that he's going to abuse or neglect him. A social worker is conducting an initial interview with a high-profile lawyer. The session is interrupted several times by the client's cell phone. When the phone rings, the client excuses himself and answers the call. After a brief conversation and without an apology, he resumes his conversation with the social worker. What is the social worker's best response? Okay, so we're in the beginning phase of the helping process because we're conducting an initial interview with this high profile lawyer. The session is interrupted several times by the client's cell phone. Okay, so that's going to be our initial issue that we're going to address as the presenting problem. Okay, so when the phone rings, the client excuses himself and answers the call. After a brief conversation, without an apology, he resumes the conversation with the social worker. This is going to be the problem, the main problem that we need to address. The question is asking, what is the social worker's best response? So we know that best means most beneficial. So what is going to be the most beneficial response here? Is it going to be A, to not acknowledge the interruption due to the nature of his career? Where again, we need to respect our own career and we can't allow other people to come in and disrespect us or our time. So we're definitely going to eliminate A. B, would the most beneficial response be to ask the client why he didn't apologize for the interruption? Of course, we're not going to do that. That is a bit confrontational, so we're going to eliminate that. C, explore the client's perception of a phone call interrupting the session. That is something that we could do. It's plausible. We want to see, you know, what is he thinking, or what are his thoughts about the situation. So let's kind of pause that one. Now let's go to D. Ask the client to turn his phone off during sessions. This is something that we could do, but is this going to be the most beneficial response in this situation? Absolutely not. It's going to be to explore his perception first. That's going to be the most beneficial thing, because that can allow the social worker to help the client understand how inappropriate it is to interrupt a clinical moment with a cell phone call. While the social worker should eventually ask the client to keep his phone turned off, the most beneficial reaction should not be a direct approach during the beginning phase of the helping process. So again, we're in the beginning with this client. We're trying to build rapport. So let's kind of explore and let's try to get on the same page before we just come with direct confrontation. Again, thank y'all for being here. Let me know if you have any questions about these questions in the comments. Please like this video, share this video with whoever you think needs it. And again, I appreciate y'all, and let's continue to get these passes the savvy way.